Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start the video upload, thank you guys for watching my video. Thank you for being part of this channel. I've been on the channel since 2013. It's been a great 11 years. If you're new to my channel, I have 182 subscribers, 182 subscribers. Go down below, slam elbow that subscribe button, ring those notifications, and ring that bell, and leave a comment down below, thumb up, thumb down about the video. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. Hey guys, Crisis169 here. I'm here to come to you guys with a sad news that the GTX family, 10th and 16th gen uh, generations are no longer going to be supported after 2025. Um, and the video came out and said it late last year, but now really said this is last year. They're getting updates for the 16th and 10th gen cards. It's all of them. It's the 16 Ti's, Supers, 1650s, 1630s, the 10 series, and we'll go brief history though. Brief history lesson about 10 series. The 10 series launched uh, May and June of that year was May 16th, 2016. May 27, 2016, that the 10 series really launched out. And it launched with different cards, different times. The flagship being the 10, 1080 Ti. 1080 Ti being the flagship card, being the go-to card for me into this year, actually, to last year. Um, the series came out around 2016 May. It's seen many different variations. The 1080 was released in May 27th, 1070 June of same year. A series have and manufactured with was announced 10 series made 16 millimeter. And what made the 10 series so good was what I got from it was friends of mine who had 10 series. My sister had 1080 at one time for a long time. Was how much quality was put into that thing with little price. The 1080 was expensive, like a 900. 1080 Ti was like $900, $1,000. It's almost unheard of back then. But it had 11 gigabytes of DDR5. That was unheard of time. That much. No, a VRAM. You know what VRAM is? VRAM is video memory. It's allocated for the games you're playing. What it does is, you say you're playing, The Witcher 3 was a really hard game to run on a lot of games back then. Hardware. A lot of GPUs had to be beefy. And 1080 like Ti, like I take it and did the shirt like Hogan and tore it, and then they revealed 1080 Ti kind of thing, like this card can run it kind of thing. And if you had one of those, then you were talking to town in the gaming world because that was considered the cream of the crop of the gaming world. You can run any game you want to in high set ultra settings. It was mostly going to be because it was 720 was considered. We were getting out of 720p going to 1080p gaming at the time. People still played in 720p in 2016, not a whole lot, but now we have people playing more on 1080p 2K than 4K. So it's kind of weird how it works out sometimes. But 1080 Ti and 1080 Ti could run 1440p. Granted, the Ti version could run 1440p a lot better because of VRAM. The architecture were almost the same between the two. The difference was you had 3 more gigabytes of VRAM, but also it was a faster, beefier card. A lot of people were still rocking 1080 Ti's. I was playing Helldivers 2. Side note, people were still rocking 1080 Ti's playing the game when the game came out. About 6 months ago, a year ago now. A year ago, people are still rocking 1080 Ti's and still getting almost as good frame rate than most people who had 2060s and 2070s. I had 3070, and mine was okay, but I guarantee he was probably getting a little better frame rate. He was probably at 1080p. It was probably maybe 100, 200 frames because his monitor you can go high monitors. But back then, we didn't have we didn't have 240 frame monitors back then. So 60 frames, 100 frame monitors were 100 frame monitors were slowly coming out, but they were astronomically expensive. Now, you can go to Wally World and and pick one up like you can nowadays. Um, Most people say 75, 80 frame monitors were where it's at back in the day. 60 frames were good. You 60 frames because believe it or not, 2016 people are still playing the Xbox One and the PS4, not PS4 Pro and Xbox One S that were doing checkerboard rendering. A side note to that, 30 frames. The graphics cards can do 60 frames, 10 series 60 frames, especially 1070 Ti, 1080, 1080 Ti could do that because you had the power, you had the beef. But The Witcher 3 was a game that crippled a lot of people's graphics cards because it was really hard to run. Not saying, not saying it couldn't be run. It was just very hard to run on ultra settings at 1080p. Now we have graphics cards that can run games at 4K ultra, especially if you're willing to pay out the money and get 60 frames. Back then, it wasn't about the 4K. It was about running games at high optimal settings, mostly 1080p. Yes, some people out there who are nuts who spent $800 on a 2K monitor. Um, some bought ultra wide, even though ultra wides weren't really a thing. I have an ultra wide now, but back then ultra wide wasn't really a thing back then. But that being said, though, the 10 series was probably the good gaming series, and that was what they called the gaming series. It was for people who were gamers, who had a middle finger, the pierced tongue, and who were gamers, who were the who were the enthusiasts. It was the birth of the enthusiast. That became the enthusiast battle cry. If you had a 1080 Ti, you had great 16 gigabytes of RAM and great processor, you were the king of all against those little console peasants, and they bow down for you and worship the ground you walked on. In theory, but in realization, that card was a utility card that was considered really good. The 10 series was cheaper, faster, and it was better, and it was put together with a lot more respect. We have cards now that are heating and melting plastic damn pieces of crap that are melting cables. Cables are getting really hot and stuff. The 10 series cards didn't have that many problems. Maybe 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 a 0.5% fail rate in a whole bunch of all of 10 series cards. Where you didn't have that problem. Nowadays, it seems like graphics cards have issues on either side. Doesn't matter if it's in Intel's graphic problems or AMD or Nvidia. Some of these cards are gonna have a problem. Back then, I didn't hear people complain about their cards, melting cables or having issues with drivers on 10 series. It just ran like crazy. Now, I wasn't really much of a PC gamer back then. I was still console peasant. I was still wearing the console peasant colors and still bow down for the pens, for the PC overlords. Um, and getting games are inferior. Obviously, I knew that back then. But I still ate it up because what are you gonna do, right? When you're dumb, you just don't do that stuff. but but it was considered the good cream of the crop. Now, talking about that, the 16 series is also going to lose a driver support, and that topic can be up next. Hey guys, this is Crisis. We're talking about the 16 series. 16 series launched um, February 23rd, 2019, with the launch of the 1660 Ti. The 1660 released on the 14th of March, 2019. 1650, if all my father had that one for a long time. released on April 23rd, 2019. 6060 Super released on October 29th, 2019. And 1630 released 2022. 1650 Super, my father's 1650 Super, sorry, that came out on 22nd of November 2019. These 16 series cards are kind of a what would happen scenario if Nvidia had a chance to go back and actually make sense of this. See, I praised 10 series because they were good cards. The 16 series were decent enough. They had a lot better restoration, a lot better, power, but they didn't really get the same. You didn't get this. You didn't get the 1080 Ti version. You got the 1660 version that was good, but was it was it good enough? um, but was it good enough? And was it as good as it could be? And being only 6 GB of DDR6, because it went from the 16 series was good in certain ways and bad in certain ways. It was good in certain ways because it ushered in the 16. I mean, it ushered in the DDR6, where when 10 series was still DDR5. But people ran tests on the lower end 10 series card versus lower end, higher end 1660 cards. In most cases, the 10 series cards ran still better than the 16 series cards. I know people laugh. 1660 Ti had 60 gigabytes of VRAM. Ti had 60. You can probably get one, probably 8 maybe, but a lot of them had 6. Some had 2, some had 4. My father had 1650 Super with 4 gigabytes of VRAM. I had 2060 that I gave him when I upgraded to 3070. Now he has a new build with a 4070 Ti Super. The different ball wax, way different than blows all those, including mine, away. But the point is, the 16 series ushered in the new era of the DDR6, where it became well known to this day, and still is well known to this day. Now, DDR7's out, but DDR6 started with 16 series, and that was the speed. DDR5 and 5, 4, and 6 were all different speeds. And yes, the 16 series had DDR6. It had a little faster, but if you compare it to, let's say, compare it to a 9 versus 1080, just for the hypothetical, what ifs here. Let's see what it says. The 1080 runs 26% faster on better on CS:GO, GTA 5, other game, 35% user benchmark, 41% overclock speed, um, much faster textures. I mean, just of course you had 8 GB of VRAM. If you went TI version, it would be even more of a dogfight. Now, it'd be a one-sided dogfight. So having a better DDR6 compared to DDR5, people still chose to be DDR5 because they realized what they had was the best they had. TI version 1080 would blew away any version of the 1080 66 Ti. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't care what it is. Yes, your 1660 is fast, but my 1080 non-Ti is still faster. Well, you have DDR6, that's great, but I have 8 gigabytes of VRAM on DDR5. I'll stay here. That's why a lot of people didn't choose to jump over the 16 series unless they didn't have one in the first place. And if you had 16 gigabyte, if you had a 6 gigabyte 1660 Ti, you still ran games decently. Let me get this right. I had 2060 playing games like Battlefield 5, Racing on medium, still having a good experience with it. Granted, it wasn't going to be anything, extravagant. I have 8 gigabyte 3070 that I'm running a lot better than I would run 2060 on. Got two more gigs of VRAM, but I'm at the wall. I'm pretty much the stopgap. 10, it's 8, then it goes from here. I'm at the very end of the line, and the 1080 was like, and we're at the end of the line, but we're still better than what you have before us. We're gonna stay here. That's why a lot of people are still playing games to this day with 1080 Ti's because they realized what they had was a lot better. Now, granted, some people went to 2080 Ti's if they found one, and I'll make that video when they cancel or stop doing update for 30 and 20 series. I'll make that video because I'll be upgrading myself eventually too as well. I'll have to at that point in time. So like I said, guys, the hourglass flipped over. Time to ticking. So if you ain't got a idea in your 20 and 30, in your 20 series, 20, if you're a 20 and 30 series card holder like I am, you might want to start paying attention to those graphics cards that are now. Now's the time to pay attention. 10 series, 16 series, you had your fun. You had 16, 17, 18, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. You had almost 9 years. The 19, about 6 years. So the 16 series didn't have a lot of time to get your feet wet, but you didn't have a lot. You didn't have the 1080 Ti with 11 gigabytes come out. You didn't have the 1660 Ti Super come out with 11 gigabytes. You didn't have the 11 gigabyte card. Um, that's when the video started cheaping back. Okay, well, we're gonna go back and hold some VRAM back, but charge a little bit more. 1080 Ti people are like, no, we don't want that. And they just stay with 1080 Ti. That's why 1080 Ti are still rocking the Steam charts for the longest time. It's still on there too as well. Now, his last update coming up this year. One of the updates might not, maybe last come out. You might get the last update probably around August. If Nvidia wants to be dicks about it, they can stop it in in summertime. Say no more, we're done. Then after that, a couple months later, your card become paperweights because they won't work anymore. But they want to be dicks about it. They want to be actual human about this. They could give you guys at least that last hurrah year, that last hurrah of your cards. So this last year, we're going to be, you have until, let's say it's February, you have February, you have 10 months. Let's say December 31st. Let's say that's the last, say last update is say is December 1st. You have 10 months to enjoy your car. And after that, last update, first quarter 2026, cards won't gonna update anymore. They won't run anymore. Now, can you find halfway drivers out there to work? Maybe. Can you find drivers out there that work? From modders? Probably. Can you find out there to hold you over a little longer? Probably. But eventually, guys, once the drivers go offline, your game won't function at all. Because now, as games get updated, they're updated to new drivers. And if the game detects the drivers are not updated enough, you start having artifacting and problems going on where it won't work. And that's the problem with a lot of these games. that I'm thinking a lot of people don't understand. Now, a lot of you gamers who have been gaming on PC a lot longer than I have, you already know this. Now, you've gone from the 9 to 10 to 20 to 39, 49 to 50 series, so you kind of know this. A lot of new guys, don't know this. A lot of new cats who got into 10 series, 20 series, 30 series, myself, 20, 30 series right here, 2060 and 3070 right here. So I have two series I've gone through, two two levels I've gone through in the past 4 years, 5 years. Um, I didn't know all that kind of stuff happens, but it does happen. So that being said, it's time for all of us who now are 20, 30 series cards holders to go, okay, we have to start thinking what's our next move. Do we stay in green? Do we go red? Do we go Intel? What do we do? Now's the time to start putting your pieces on the board and start playing chess. Start, okay, how am I going to do this? Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is eventually our cards, my cards, 3070, no more updates. And it'll run old games, but the new fanciest games won't run because it will detect it doesn't have the right drivers. And I ain't gonna be out there going to Bob Outback 1040 online marketplace to buy a makeshift graphics driver for my 3070 because I don't want to upgrade to a different card. To me, that's not safe. So up to you guys what I do. Once again, guys, this is my video. Thank you for watching. If you have a 10 series card, a 20 series, a 10 or 16 series card, drop down below. If you upgraded from the 20, from 10, 16 to the 30s or 40, 50 series, drop down below too. I like to hear it. See you guys later. Peace out.